Hello, everyone.
Today we are going to be talking about ego and identifying with items and the mask we wear whenever we identify with some of these items. But first, I wanted us to get in tune with just the mind body connection. So, everyone, just take a deep breath first and just go and just let it out. And then I feel like it is so important to have this mind body connection to understand our deeply who we are. So first, just like feel your hand and don't think, oh, I feel my hand. Think, feel your hand. Feel the liveliness between like in running in your fingertips and in your palm and the energy, the balls of energy in your hand right now, and have that run up your arms, up your shoulder, all the way to your neck, to your head, and then down your spine. I even like to wiggle a little bit, feeling the energy go down, like a little snake down your spine. And then we're going to take one more deep breath in and out.
And I'm going to add to Ashlyn's where you can embody that's the heart, mind, and soul. So we're going to say 3 sounds, and I want you to feel it in the areas. We're going to go into the gut wisdom, and that's the ah. So we're going to breathe in, and on the way out, we're going to say ah and feel the rumblings in your tummy. So let's breathe in for a good 4 counts, and then we'll breathe out and ah. So breathe in. Ah. You can feel that in your stomach. Now we're going to go to your heart space. It's going to be ooh. Okay. So let's breathe in. Ooh. You feel that in your heart space. Now we're going to go up into the third eye, into up between your eyes. And it's going to be the We're going to fill it up in this space. So we're going to breathe in for 4, and then we'll say that So ready? Let's go and breathe in for 4. Good deep breath. And then Do you feel that right through here?
I feel it tingling.
Yeah, it's a tingling. So that's calling in the energies, but you can feel it through your body. And this is practicing embodiment. Like we just wanted to give you a little bit of a fun embodiment practice to start being ready for this wonderful podcast we're so excited about today.
Yes. I'm really pumped up about this podcast because this book that we're about to mention with Eckhart Tolle, The New Earth, was life-changing for us. Absolutely life-changing. And the things that we're mentioning to you guys blew our mind. And still, whenever we go back on the book to this day, we're like, I completely forgot about this part. This is so great. Mind blown again.
Yeah.
It's our Bible. It really
is. It's my number 1 book. And as far as like self-help and completely peacefulness, heaven here on earth.
Being in the moment, 100%.
Yeah, it shifted us more than any book ever has. So today we are going to talk about the masks we wear and letting go of the persona of the ego. In a way, we're going to always have the thought process that when we attach ourselves to things outside of us, that's always going to be egoically. And so we can definitely have wonderful items in our life, but it's the attachment that causes great suffering. So, and just even being working with individuals that say that we're NBA players, sports, their identity to their persona. When they're done, I worked with a doctor that had been a pediatric doctor for years and just so well known in his city, his community. He decided to move away and live closer to his daughter, and he found me. And he was in the depths of depression because he had lost his identity as a doctor and all the people in town knowing him for what he was. And now he lived in a new city. He didn't have his synagogue, his place to go to that was normal, and everything he felt stripped away from him. And he instantly went into anxiety of not knowing who he was anymore. and the depression that followed. And so I worked with
Mm-hmm.
him, and we worked through that. But I see that very often with sports athletes or people that have worked to achieve certain high goals, and then it's done, and they don't have
Yeah, or they get
that
injured.
to
I've heard
attach to.
that so many times where they get injured and
Hmm.
they maybe even had plans to get a scholarship for college or
Hmm.
had that almost contract to the NBA or
Yeah.
NFL or some professional sport, and something happened in their life where in a blink of an eye it snapped and they didn't
Well, and
beat
mothers,
depression.
for when my children graduated and the last one was done, it was something I walked through. It was interesting because I literally was working with women that didn't know what they wanted to do after their children left, or who they were, or, where to give all this love that they'd
Yeah.
had been giving to their children, their actions and different things. They were so identified with being moms, um, that there's a depression that happens. And I remember the day that I reached out to Ashlyn, and she was with a boyfriend, and then Ethan was busy at school, and then my youngest had a sports thing he was going to, and I sat there and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm all by myself. And I literally started to feel that feeling of sadness, and knowing that all the people I'd worked with. And I said, okay, nope, 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 nope. I went and got my car. I went to this little bobo tea place, got myself this little bobo tea, and I got my car and I started to listen to Madonna and sing her songs.
Yes.
And I drove around really beautiful scenic areas, and I had to shift my environment and get myself and say, you know what, it is okay. And I did that several times, and I was journaling different things, and I started to think, okay, well, what do I want to do? They're not responsible for my happiness. I kept on saying to they're not responsible for my happiness. And it was just an identity shifting thing, but I had not read the book yet. It was like
Hmm.
probably 6 months later, I read this book, and so life
Well, me and
changing.
you were talking right before we started filming that when someone asks you, like, who are you? Or like just about yourself, how are you answering? Well, I'm a mom. I got my master's degree. I did this and I'm smart and I'm funny. Like, are you just labeling yourself out with like
Oh,
these identity things?
as if you truly have a label that's on, inside
Yeah.
you. You have this label, and here's the script. And
Like the ingredients on the back of the package.
after I read this book, I ate so much humble pie. I was eating humble pie on a weekly basis. I'd meet somebody new, and they'd want to maybe work with me or different things. And I literally was stripping out. I was on Steve Harvey's show. I've been in magazines. And I was witnessing myself identify myself to my accomplishments instead of just being there in the moment and what they needed. And it just slowly but surely started to fizzle out. Even we can become attached to our victim story, right? So,
Yeah, it's very true.
identity.
Well, a lot of
What
times
mask
too.
are we wearing?
Yes, it's like the Phantom of the Opera. That's what I was
Right.
thinking with the mask.
Put yourself in this situation. If you were to meet a CEO of a company, what persona would you show up with? Or if you were to
Mhm.
meet a waiter, or say you go into a restaurant, you meet the waiter, you meet the owner, what persona do you show up? Do you treat them differently? That's an ego thing. That's an ego thing. So everybody
Yeah.
has a soul.
And a little
So,
side note too, you can tell a lot about a person by how they treat a cashier and a server. Just want to throw that
mm-hmm.
out there. So
Yeah,
if you're going on a date with somebody and they're showing those red flags, maybe
yeah. If they treat them like they're less than, that's not a good thing.
no,
I not that's to me that's a no no.
no, we're all one.
So everybody it's somebody's child, it's somebody's brother, sister.
Yes. Well,
Treat
like you
everybody
said,
with
as a child,
equanimity.
it all stems back, we always go back down to the roots on all of our podcasts, I feel like, and it's always the child. So
Mm-hmm.
my little Lele, Malay, my little 3-year-old, right now he's going through a Toy Story phase. And it's my Buzz, my Woody, my Bullseye, the little horse. And he, the mine, that belongs to me. So it starts maybe with your teddy bear when you were little, your Barbie, your strawberry shortcake,
Yeah,
your cool action figures, your
that's
GI
where
Joe.
that's where it gets implanted in our brain.
Yeah. And then boom,
3 years
we become
old.
adults and turns into our cars, our
Mm-hmm.
houses, our clothes, everything that you just feel like.
Yeah.
This is good.
You get very, like, think about you've been lived in a house for 15 years and you move away. There's, and you can't drive past it again because there's just
Yeah.
this so many memories that are in that home or even your childhood home. Yeah, I'm not driving past it.
Yeah.
There's the attachment there, right?
You have to
So,
let go of that ego. So I wanted to name, first of all, 3 key questions to ask yourself. And I felt like whenever I answered these, you might think, no, no, I don't do that. But then start thinking about some items that, it might be a little triggering when you think about losing it. So, number 1 is your self worth bound up by things you possess? Just think about it. Be honest with yourself.
gotta have the
Do
Mercedes.
do you feel superior or insecure with these items that you lack or you have?
Yeah. Do you feel lacking because so and so has this car and you're driving up in this car, so all of a sudden you
Yep.
feel less than? Or do you feel superior than somebody because you are driving up in the Lamborghini?
I know it might feel good, but does it
Mm-hmm.
is if it was to go up in flames tomorrow, would you feel a loss of yourself
Yeah, that's good.
or less than?
Yeah.
Do you show off your items to have more self-worth through others' eyes? Kind of like my mom mentioned. Do you show off that Lamborghini? Do you show off that purse? I've even caught this not even with material items, but with your child or your dog. Like, my dog's a purebred Chihuahua. Does that make you create that more self-worth about yourself?
Well, in our identity in our children, we've talked about because we can think one child is flunking, so oh my gosh, I'm not that great of a parent, and one child
Yeah.
is scholarship and full ride, and we're talking to everybody about, oh my goodness, my child, he's going to Harvard, and the identity in that too, that we're part of our children's successes or failures. It's really, we don't need to identify with that either,
No.
nor do they.
No. And those are the top 3 questions. So maybe rewind, pause, and just think about it. But we are going to move on
Yeah.
to what my amazing Mamacita has to
I
offer.
I wanted to do a cute little story time today. So since you're listening, I love story time. No, I'm just kidding. I love reading books, and this is one it has a little bit of depth to it. So we want you to ask questions down below because if you haven't read the book, it really is an eye opener. You feel like after you get done reading it, you were always wearing these cloudy glasses, and now all of a sudden you have 20,000 vision. The clarity and it takes away a whole bunch of the malarkey that's we've been taught, the systems and different things. And so this is a cute little story, but it's very impactful. And I'm going to wear my little glasses because I'm going to be a teacher for a second. Welcome to story time, the
Little
adult story
professor.
time. It's called The Lost Ring. This is Edgar Tully talking. He said, I would visit a woman twice a week whose body was riddled with cancer. She was a school teacher in her mid-40s and had been given no more than a few months to live by her doctors. Sometimes a few words were spoken during those visits, but mostly we would sit together in silence. As we did, she had her first glimpses of stillness within herself that she never knew existed during her busy life as a school teacher. One day, however, I arrived to find her in a state of great distress and anger. What happened? I asked. Her diamond ring of great monetary as well as sentimental value had disappeared, and she said she was sure it had been stolen by the woman who came to look after her for a few hours every day. She said she didn't understand how anybody could be so callous and heartless as to do this to her. She asked me whether she should confront the woman or whether it would be better to call the police immediately. I said I couldn't tell her what to do, but asked her to find out how important a ring or anything else was at this point in her life. You don't understand, she said. This is my grandmother's ring. I used to wear it every day until I got ill and my hands became too swollen. It's more than just a ring to me. How can I not be upset?" The quickness of her response and the anger and defensiveness in her voice was indication that she had not yet become present enough to look within and to disentangle her reaction from the event and observe them both. Her anger and defensiveness were signs that the ego was still speaking through her. I said, "I am going to ask you a few questions, but instead of answering them now, see if you can find the answers within you. I will pause briefly after each question." So at this point, think of maybe some things that are items that are in your life that you could have these questions to. When an answer comes, it may not necessarily come in the form of words. She said she was ready to listen. I asked, "Do you realize that you will have to let go of the ring at some point, perhaps quite soon? How much more time do you need before you will be ready to let go of it? Will you become less when you let go of it? Has who you are become diminished by the loss?" There were a few minutes of silence after the last question. When she started speaking again, there was a smile on her face, and she seemed at peace. "The last question made me realize something important," she said. "First, I went to my mind for an answer, and my mind said, 'Yes, of course, you have been diminished.' Then I asked myself the question again, 'Has who I am become diminished?' This time, I tried to feel rather than think the answer, and suddenly I could feel my I amness, the godly presence. I have never felt that before. If I can feel the I am so strongly, then who I am hasn't been diminished at all. I can still feel it now, something peaceful but very alive." Edgar says, "That is the joy of being. You can only feel it when you get out of your head. Being, in essence, must be felt. It can't be thought. The ego doesn't know about it because thought is what it consists of. That's all the ego is thoughts. The ring was really in your head as a thought that you confused with the sense of I am, your truest essence and your pure self. You thought that I am, or a part of it, was in the ring. Whatever the ego seeks and gets attached to are substitutes for the beingness that it cannot feel. You can value and care for things, but whenever you get attached to them, you will know it's the ego, and you are never really attached to a thing, but to a thought that has I, me, or mine in it. Whenever you completely accept a loss, you go beyond ego and who you are. The I am, which is consciousness itself, emerges." She said, "Oh, now I understand something Jesus said that never made much sense to me before. If someone takes your shirt, let him take your coat as well." "That's right," Edgar says. "It doesn't mean you should never lock your door. All it means is that sometimes letting things go is an act of far greater power than defending or hanging on." In the last few weeks of her life, as her body became weaker, she became more and more radiant, as if light were shining through her. She gave many of her possessions away, some to the woman she thought had stolen the ring, and with each thing she gave away, her joy deepened. When her mother called me to let me know she had passed away, she also mentioned that after her death they found her ring in the medicine cabinet in the bathroom. Did the woman return the ring, or had it been there all the time? Nobody will ever know. One thing we do know: life will give you whatever experience is most helpful for the evolution of your consciousness. How do you know this is the experience you need? Because this is the experience you are having at this moment.
I always love that last sentence. It's the experience that
Mm,
you're having in the moment. That's how you know you're meant to have it. That
yes.
was totally I something came to my mind that I haven't been thinking about at all until you reread that story, and I read that story a little while ago. Is I remember you were going on a trip, And you're like, and I was like, oh my gosh, mom, I'll try to come by as soon as much as I can. We live a little bit further apart. And you're like, Ashlyn, don't worry about it. I have my neighbors coming, and um, they're going to watch the cats for me and take care of my plants. And I'm like, you just met these people. What do you mean you're going to have some strangers watch your house? And you're like, I have no attachment to any of these items. If anything
I did say
disappears, it's fine. And Jerome looked at me. He's like, is your mom like crazy? Is she okay? Is she taking shrooms? No, I'm kidding. And I was like, no, my mom has this fuller understanding. And I just respected it so much that if they took it, great. Take the coat too, just like it said in the
yeah,
story. Take the shirt, take the coat, take the cat. Take it
I
all.
have had a couple situations where I could have really suffered over certain people taking things, and I said, you know what, they must have needed it more than I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I detached in that moment, and I'm like, it's just something. And quite honestly, there's a law of energy, and I don't want anything bad to happen to them, but nothing was going to happen to me. You know, if they really truly needed it, even if it's a money situation, I'm like, well, you know what, I'll always be replenished with more.
Yeah, I love that. I love that
So
so much. I respected that so much. And I would think sometimes, oh my gosh, well, what if they took this out of my house? What if they took this? And it's kind of refers me back to the question we all were asked when we were younger. If your house blew up in flames right now in this very moment, what would you grab? And
mm,
as kids, we're like, oh, I'm going to grab my Xbox. I'm going to grab my TV. I'm going to make sure I grab my whole collection of this. And now, after I've read that book, I want to bring those important documents, of course, and maybe photos of Malay. But at the end of the day, I would just grab my family. That's what
yeah,
I would want to have. That's the
the
one thing, because they're
connection.
not replaceable. My car's
Yeah,
replaceable. My laptop's replaceable. My phone's replaceable. Yeah, that's why we have the iCloud for it. It goes up, and but none of those things that we own, we're not attached to. None of it. And I
right.
think people that have gone through house fires or have had to flee their country and completely vanish everything that they were or had, or just like their staple in society,
Right.
they no longer were that. And they had to start brand new. Like my friend at my job, she told me that her dad was this very famous doctor in India. And they came to America, and his degree was nothing here. Nothing. And it's amazing how humbling he was to bring his family here to give him a better life. But I can't imagine how that must have felt to work so hard for something. I mean, being a doctor is that's years of school and practice. But the fact that we can take a step back and think, do I love who I am in this very moment?
Yeah,
That's what's important.
yeah. Like if it's going to take away your peace, it's just truly not worth it.
Yeah.
Of course, you'll use your voice. You can always use your voice. We're not saying let everybody come into your house and take everything they want.
Free Rob, come on, leave the
You'll
front
use
door
your
open.
voice, but if you're even lying in bed and you're worried about somebody coming and doing something to your car, I mean, there's just different things that can literally keep you up at night and stress you out. And along that line, on the, let's say, the physical of the body, you know, we can become attached to us
Mm,
looking a certain way. But I have witnessed over and over again people in one moment. I'm thinking of a story right now of a man that was very, very handsome, and he was traveling to go see his son an hour and a half away on the weekends. And he was a friend of mine. And on his way back, he hit a snowstorm
mm,
and he went clear off a cliff. And the next day, I'm seeing him in the hospital and completely paralyzed from the
mm,
waist down. Can't move. He's so humiliated. He was humiliated that we were there as friends. There were a group of us friends that were his from college, and he had the bag there for the going to the bathroom and everything else. And it I just looked at him and I went and hugged him and I said, this doesn't make you, we don't love you any less.
Mm. Oh, these bring tears to my eyes.
And the whole story that we talked about, that when I'd asked my mom if I was pretty, she said, "What
Yeah.
matters if you're, pretty inside." That came full circle for me in that moment because I'd seen him 2 days prior. We were having his
Yeah.
birthday party celebration, and he was just the life of the party. And to see him in that situation, and he needed to go through the emotions of the shock and everything, obviously. But I thought, in any second, I could be in a fire, I could be in a car accident, I could have anything happen to me, but I would still have my presence, my soul, and my personality that exudes from it that my soul likes to, play with. And
Mm.
how am I loving others? And so when it comes down to it, I literally have had pretty much everything taken away from me at a couple times in my life where it was just a part of my evolution, my
Mm.
spiritual evolution. And through great suffering, you can have wonderful things, but I had monetarily taken away. Nobody, I hardly even knew where I knew moved to, and it really did come down to I had myself and the consciousness connection with the divine every second, and that was one of the most beautiful lessons I ever learned. So when Ashlyn said that I didn't care if somebody came to my house and took things, I had gotten to that point of like this is accumulation, and for me to even move to another place, there's just a lot to pack, and it's just stuff. I don't want. We're getting rid of more and more things, like our last episode of the physical
Yeah.
detachment, and I wanted to bring in the ring because here she was, this sweet little lady in her 40s, dying of cancer, and hardly need time to live. And it's interesting how our ego still wants to appear. And when she decided to let go of that, she was in her spirit presence the rest of the time of her life, of just being able to
Yeah.
give way and love on people and come from a different heart space. So
Yeah. Letting
it's
go
the
is a full
attachment.
is a
I,
full
I
circle.
yeah, we
Mhm.
feel like this comes to me is like we feel like that because we're judging ourselves of the attachment and how we look and what we're wearing and what we're driving and what we live in, that other people are judging us. And really, it's kind of like they're doing the same thing to themselves. And so if we can
Mhm.
let go of judgment of ourselves and others, it really does make that beautiful peacefulness of not feeling like we do have to compete with the Joneses or compete with anybody. It's just, I really like this object. This item makes me feel pure joy when I look at it, or it's a great reminder or anchor to do this or that.
Mhm.
There are items are wonderful, but being attached to them is what we're talking about today with the
Yeah.
ego.
Yeah, it's like letting go. No matter what, the ego will always be there, but yeah, it's the detachment of letting go of your items. It also hit me that that $60 bag that you are looking at right now, if you're making $15 an hour, if you're on an hourly wage, that is 4 hours of your time. Probably a little bit more because you got to include the tax.
Well, yeah, 5 hours of your life you gave for
Hmm.
that purse, your
So think of
precious
things
life.
even like that. Like I'll sit down and Jerome and I will go out to dinner, and sometimes we'll even think like this, like that is somebody's this is an hour of somebody's time. And then there's like this meme that popped up in my timeline even just this morning, and the Starbucks worker was saying that these two drinks right here that I'm holding in my hand, the frappuccino and the cappuccino, she handed it to them and was like, "That's an hour of my time. Is those two cups of coffee?"
Hmm.
And I never thought of it like that. And it's like that respect of money as well. That
Yeah.
when you're not having that ego, you're also having like this balancing act of respect of money, respect for yourself. It's not even just self love, it's a full round of self respect for all the things that you have. And doing this, oh my gosh, doing this letting go series, I've just realized I don't want more stuff. I
Mm.
don't want to compete with the Joneses
Mm.
because it's an endless search for yourself. It really is. You're never going to find yourself in things. I'd rather go and make so many fun memories going to
Yeah.
Disneyland with my kids, or even just going to the park and getting snow cones, like little memories that you're creating. Your kid is not gonna love you more and then look back in 10 years and be like, I'm so glad my mom bought me that Polly Pocket set because I knew she loved me. No, the times that I knew my mom loved me was her reading a book to me. Even like whenever you were reading the story, I was like, I could maybe take a nap right now. Get my
Memories.
blinky. Like those were the moments when I knew my mom loved me, was when she was in the moment with me, not whenever she was buying me clothes. And sure, I loved whenever we went shopping because we were in the moment
Yeah.
together. I just wanted to be with her. That's all I wanted. I didn't
Yeah.
want stuff. I just wanted time
It's,
with my mom.
yeah. Yeah, the not enoughness is very real. I check in every single day with myself. When things pop up, I'll say, no, you're enough. Like, I don't need more of this. I don't need more of that. I am enough. And what
Mhm.
flows into my life by being in that state is pretty much beautiful and magical. So, that
Yeah.
enoughness, it comes weekly, it comes daily.
I feel that. Well, also, like we've mentioned in the past podcast, like with wanting more items, it's also being avoidant. And that's one thing that I caught on to doing whenever my
Mhm.
friend passed away a couple years ago. When Malay was born, I, woo, Amazon and Target, I funded y'all for about 6 months
And
there.
Sheen. And
And
Sheen, I
Shane.
was there with you.
Yeah.
Sheen and I
I
were
was
like, oh, I
being
got
so
this.
avoidant. I was like, oh, Malay needs this in his room. Malay, I need this. Well,
We
and
did not
I've kind of
help each
mentioned this in the
other.
previous
She
podcast,
was,
but it's
yeah.
crazy. I should have been paying for therapy. That was my therapy.
Yeah. Well, I would be like so down. Like, I am not spending more money. And Ashley's like, Mom, Sheen right now.
40% off.
You've got to see this at Target. I'm at Target right now. Do you want me to just get it for you? So we really had to close in, and we all have certain things from we like we talked about our inner child wounds, and so we have literally, it's almost like we've handpicked a couple of vices and to work through them. uh, it's pretty freaking awesome. You have to pay yourself about it, and that's what Ashley and I have in our courses. Our 6-week transformation is you literally take just that one core thing,
Mhm.
and then we snowball it. Like, we've done it so many times, the things that when I started understanding, like doing like a 40-day resurrection of just one thing and implementing it in to the way that Ash and I have been able to pull it together through our spirits for you
Mhm.
all, it's life changing, and things that I was still having show up from being 16 are no longer.
Mm-mm.
That's how amazing
It's true.
this course is.
I'm
It's,
honestly so excited to release this course. It's going to be
yeah,
released just in a couple months.
we've been
And
living and breathing it, and with
yes,
other clients. Yeah.
it's true. Totally
Yeah.
have been living it.
Living and breathing it, and felt like we had talked about in one of our podcasts how we started to be the seekers of truthfulness and then taking action in that truthfulness.
Mhm.
And it catapulted us so fast that Ashley and I would get to Friday and be like, I don't even know who I was last Friday.
You're like,
Who was I last Friday?
you know how I
My
was crying
identity is
about that?
dead.
I don't know what I was crying about
Yeah,
anymore.
who am I? It was just one layer peeled off and one layer peeled off. And that's really what we've brought into the course. And you can do it over and over again. Once you have it, you can just enjoy seeing how you get to just detach and peel away and become your truest self. It's amazing.
It's
I can't
great.
believe that I'm not dealing with things that seem like they were so subconsciously rooted. So that we go deep. We take you through things that will um, instantly you're going to start to see changes happening. We're going to
Mhm.
be rewiring that lovely brain into the
Oh,
neurotransmitters, and so your brain is 90 to 95% doing the work for you. It always has been telling you what to do. It's like always in the past. Okay, this is what you need to do. This is the program you
yeah.
have been built. Here's a computer system, and we show you how to take it and break it. That you're like little index file. And you have the bloodhounds taking it and going, this is what we're going to do. Little bloodhounds coming and going,
Yes, and
nope.
it's a course that you don't even have to do necessarily by yourself because we're going to be holding your hand through it because we have videos in the course
Yeah,
with
the whole
us
way.
because we are teaching y'all how we learned ourselves. So it's not like just here's a paper. It's we've both have studied this, even just with my background in teaching and just visualizing and making sure this is getting into your brain with
Yeah.
visualization and just tools that you can work through step by step.
Yeah.
It's not like, here, let me force feed you.
No, you're creating your
It's a
most
cupcake.
authentic blueprint, yeah, of your truest self. And then it's just like you just feel like, oh, this is my natural state. Oh wow. Well, what else do
Yeah,
I want to take
it's
on?
mind
Let's take
blowing.
on the world. Let's kid.
Well, I think too that when you let go of these things, you enter your mental heaven. So, and you're complete in
Yeah,
this very moment too. So
yeah.
just remember that. Like,
You start.
it's a heaven
You
and
do.
hell that you're creating.
Yeah, you
And let's
shift
create heaven.
into this integrity for yourself, where you show up like for yourself, like
Mm-hmm.
no other. From there.
Yeah,
So
completely. And
we,
also, I want y'all to peep the shirt.
yes,
It's just like the same that I say in the beginning that you're going to create your own love story. So, and it has an amazing book. I know that my pregnancy belly's like covering it up. But it has a book, and then it just has all these beautiful, like, there's the time hourglass of, like, there's living in the moment, the book, the moon, because I'm a moon child, I feel like, and our lovely emblem of Now That's Love.
yeah, we,
And
like we've said, we create things that help keep you anchored to the
yeah,
work of evolving your
this
truest
helps me
self.
remember living in the moment, even just being with Malay. It helps me remember just creating my own love story with myself every day and just starting small. I want everyone to remember that it's
Mm,
not this huge leap that you have to take. It's
mm-mm.
not, you're not jumping the
No.
ocean. It's just little steps. So even just with like letting go of your ego and letting go of your items, start small. Like maybe start organizing your closet or your purse or get rid of some purses that are not like you're not vibing with anymore or you feel
Mhm.
attachment to, one little thing at a time. We're not saying like throw your whole house away.
Oh no, there's
It's
items that are special, but you're not attached to them. That's just it. Like it's a couch.
exactly.
You love it, but there's that questions you asked in the beginning. Are you identified with them, and
You
do
feel
they
superior.
cause suffering if you were to lose them?
Completely agree.
Yeah,
I am so excited, and we are getting close to actually wrapping up this section of letting go. So let's keep on holding on to our lasso with us, and we'll see you
yeah,
guys in
and
the next podcast.
yes. Last thing is the next meditation I'm going to do. The last meditation was kind of bringing in some of the here's your beautiful place, and then here's your dark place, whatever you're going through, and then taking you back to the beautiful place. This next meditation I'm going to take you through is for people that are really in a traumatic place or just gotten out of a traumatic place in their life or really truly in a deep fear. And I want to take you to your own spiritual oasis in this next meditation. And that's all it's going to be. This is going to be your escape meditation that I literally did when I was in the darkest place. And so this is just coming from my spirit that I'm supposed to put this out there, and it's going to be out there. We'll
If you
post it
haven't
up along
listened
with
to
this
the
video.
episode 21, hop on it.
Yeah.
It's 10 minutes.
Meditation that I had just gotten done with a full hour, beautiful, deep breath work. And when I came to, I asked, what does the world need now? And how can I serve in that way? And I was shown you need to do this meditation. And I was like, okay, here I go. Number one. I've done them for clients, but as far as on YouTube. And so that was just spiritual meditation. It's just beautiful to me to just have there's my first one to do out
Well,
on YouTube. So
it's so divinely coming to you and me with these meditations and mantras that we want to give y'all every day because
yeah,
it's helped us reprogram our brain as well.
yeah, yep. So from our home to yours, from so much love and gratitude that we get to be together to do this and to serve
Yes.
you all and to love on you all so very much. Have a blessed day. Bye.
Now that's love, baby
Now
girls,
that's
baby
love,
dolls, baby
baby
boys.
dolls, you.